Happy Thursday. It is Thursday. Welcome to the Fearless Morning Show, where we are having confessions and conversations about your everyday life. My name is Yamicha Jojo Waddle, the only Live Past Crazy specialist. So what better place to be than here with me? Hope you guys are ready to get this day started. It's been a great week. It has been an amazing week. It has been the week that I have said it would be. So, how about that? Please make sure you share the show because sharing is caring. I'm just going to post the links right here, right fast. And remember, if your friends and family do not have Facebook, we do have a YouTube channel. So you can binge watch all the Fearless Morning Show there. And if you've been enjoying the show this week, please let me know. I greatly appreciate hearing you guys' feedback, because it's always nice to know that what you say helps somebody or they relate, because I don't want to be, out here talking to myself, which I hope I'm not. But that is the link for the Fearless Morning Show. Great morning, Miss Valley. How are you? How you been? And that is the link for the Great Girlfriends Retreat, Live Past Crazy Girlfriends Retreat, August 23rd through 25th. Good morning, Kiva. Good morning. Y'all, my voice hasn't caught up with me yet, but we're getting there. I've been up, but I don't think my voice is yet. But we are going to make it happen. Good morning, and how do you do? I'd like to introduce myself to you. Good morning, Kimberly. Well, I'm glad, Miss Valerie. I am glad. All right. The quote of the day is actually a passage from a book. And you guys, once I read it, you've heard it before. But this morning, when I was reading, it came to me again. And sometimes I try not to repeat things. But this morning, this one would not leave me alone. So we're going to do it again. And it's from the book, Lioness Arising. The charge is simple. The charge is so simple, so liberating, and yet at times so terrifying. We alone have the power to open our lives. First, we must open up. Then we live openly, and then our life expands. Opening your life and living openly is a twofold process. You can open your life and yet not live openly. I love that passage. The charge is simple and liberating and terrifying. We alone have the power to open our lives. First, we open up, and then we live openly, and then our life expands. So that kind of goes with what we talked about on yesterday. God, leave my train of thought went away. Our topic we talked about yesterday about all this week about living great and not trying to force yourself into small, and change equals challenge. And it's liberating once you start on that journey. And once you accept the journey. I think that's what I want to say. Once you accept the journey, then it's liberating and terrifying. And then you understand the power that you alone have to change your life. So that quote is meant to help with the topic today, which is, are you a hostage to your current situation? And I want to ask just like 3 questions. Are you a hostage to your current situation? And I'm guilty. Everything I always talk about is something I've been through, I just came out of, and I may be currently going through. In this one, I just came out of. Are you a hostage to your current situation? And that's question number 1. Question number 2, are you spending all of your energy in that situation? And number 3, are you allowing the shame of your life to keep you hostage? Like, are you allowing your bad decisions, your bad thoughts, your bad actions to shame you into changing? But by you staying in it, is it not shaming you anyway? And so for me, I had to take away the power of the shame. And I have done this several times just by telling my story. Y'all know the story of domestic violence. And I took away the shame that I felt. And at the time, I didn't know it was self-imposed shame. I felt the shame from everybody. I felt my self-imposed shame, and I felt it from everybody else. Like, oh, well, there go JoJo, that poor girl. And you know what? Excuse me. My pet peeve was, and I don't know if anybody has experienced this, when you go through something, and especially like domestic violence or just anything, shoot, forget that, anything, you go through divorce, you break up, and you go through something, and people put the shame of the thing on you. Like, poor JoJo, she ain't know no better. And then they made me feel like I was slow and stupid because my marriage didn't work. They made me feel slow and stupid because my husband beat me. They made me feel worse than I did in the situation because they not only attached their pity, they attached their shame of my story to me. They shamed me with my own story, and I realized I had to take my power back. And the way I was going to do that was I had to tell my story and not have the shame of it, period. But sometimes when people be like, oh, they're adding to it because then they adding, oh, well, JoJo. And in the back, you can see their thought process. I can't believe you did that, girl. Like, I can't believe you fell for that. You were all people. And then that makes you feel worse because now your friends and family are judging you. Now, I just came out of crazy. And I'm having to deal with your judgment at the same time. I'm having to deal with your judgment, you feeling sorry for me, your pity, and then you making me feel like I'm slow. Or you making me feel like I'm special, like I'm not all the way there, like because I made a bad choice. Or I thought I was making a great choice and the situation was not so. Because sometimes you can only go on with the facts that you have that are presented and you don't know until you're knee deep in your crazy. That is crazy. So, are you a hostage to your current situation? And is it the shame of your current situation that keeps you there? Like you're embarrassed of it, but you can't leave it because you're embarrassed. But if you stay in it, you're embarrassed. So you darned if you do and you darned if you don't. So which is it going to be? Are you, which leads me to the next question, why are you spending all of your energy keeping up your shame and your crazy and letting it hold you hostage? Guilty. So if all of my energy is being spent maintaining my crazy that I'm ashamed of, and my current situation is holding me hostage, I'm exhausted. And that's why I can't see straight. That's why I can't think straight. That's why I can't move forward. Because it's the shame. And listen, your shame ain't got to be. Your shame could be here. And women, we are the world's worst at this. Girl, you 40, you ain't got no kids? What? You ain't never been married? What? You ain't got no man, is you gay? No. You know, it's okay if you're gay, but do you like boys and girls? And your girlfriends can shame you to death because your life doesn't resemble their life. Guilty. I have both been the receiver and I've been the giver of that. I am so guilty. Well, I've looked at friends like for real, this is what you're going to do? And I have shamed them, and then I have been on the receiving end where my friends is like, JoJo, how many last nights you going to have? Like what? What are you doing now, JoJo? Like my friends say all the time, JoJo, what are you doing now, sweetie? What is it now that you're doing? Women, sometimes we're the world's worst at that. So is our current situation, are we a hostage to our current situation? And is it the shame of our life that keeps us stuck between the rock and the hard place? And again, your shame could be, whatever age, you don't have kids, you ain't never been married. You know, you've been at the same job. Who cares, boo? And when we get to that part, when we realize that we alone have the power to open our lives, first we open up, then we live openly, and then our lives expand. When I started to let go of everybody else's self-imposed shame that they tried to put on me, because I had enough of it to deal with myself, and then I dealt with it myself, then it became easier. Then I can, I don't know the word I want to say, block, redirect, go over, go under. The words that people came at me with, they didn't impact me. So, yeah, I'm very, what's the word? Metaphoric. I like to use visions, and for me, that works. So when people come to me with a crazy idea, or they try to give me their crazy, I imagine this invisible shield over me, and it's not getting in. I don't care what you're trying to shame me with. It can't get in. I'm blocking that. Nope. Can't come in here. I'm not receiving any of that. And then when you get to that point, what's going to happen is you're going to realize that all the energy you put into shaming yourself, shaming your situation, and even though you're too embarrassed to do anything about it, but you're too embarrassed to live out of it, all of that energy, when you decide to take the power yourself, because you alone have the power to open your life, and you decide to take that power, you have so much energy to do other things. You're going to be amazed. Guess what? You're not going to be tired anymore. You're not going to be sleepy. You're not going to be exhausted. Your mind's going to be a little bit clearer, because keeping up the shame of your life and the shame of your situation is exhausting. Like explaining to friends and family over and over again why I got a divorce. Exhausting. And then when you tell the story, Jesus, they give you more shame. Like, Lord, JoJo, didn't you know no better? You don't need that. What you need is not to have the shame. Good morning. Is not to have the shame of your current situation. So the question is, are you a hostage to your current situation? Is the shame of what has happened in your life keeping you in it? And you're ashamed that you're still in it? But you're also going to be ashamed because you're finally coming out of it. And then you have to deal with what people are saying when you come out of the situation. Well, Lord, what took you so long? Well, JoJo, I thought you never. Well, and it is at that point where foundations matter. It is at that point where you have done the self-work. And even if you haven't done all the self-work, you're confident enough to say or accept that what other people may say about the shame or your current situation doesn't matter. We alone have the power to open our lives. And when you realize you have the power, it's not them, it's not the situation, but you who has the power to change the words or to change the shame that's associated with it, there is freedom, there is less stress, there is clarity of the mind. I'm telling you, it is there. Because for me, and I'm always going to use myself for an example. So I've been married twice. So when I got divorced the second time, people was like, JoJo. When I got married the second time, JoJo, really? You going to get married again? Yep. Really? You going to get divorced again? Yep. And I had to learn that in order for me not to accept everybody else's shame, I had to not be ashamed myself. I'm not going to be held hostage by my current situation. And we're not going to take the shame of my situation and make me feel worse. So that now I have two burdens on me. I have the shame from myself because, JoJo, oh my God, how you doing this again? And then once I tell and as women, we are the world's worst. Once I tell my girlfriends and my friends and my close family, your mama, your sister, them, and your family, can work that. They can work that nerve, that last one right there. They can get on that one. And they can talk about you and make you feel worse than anybody else. And so you're having a deal. So if all of my energy is being spent shaming myself because I'm in the situation, listening to other people shaming because I'm coming out of the situation, I'm here. And it's exhausting. Because on every hand, there is crazy. Every hand. And so to take away the shame of it. Number one, you got to acknowledge, hey, it happened, whether voluntarily or involuntary. That's what I have to say. JoJo, this is the current situation. I got to acknowledge my predicament. This is what happened. Now, for me, I walk myself through it. This is what happened. This is the results. And this is how you're going to come out of it on the other side. And what I cannot do is be ashamed that the situation happened. And when I take away the power of the situation, when I take away the shame of what happened, like it's life. I'm sorry, it happened. When I take away the power of the shame and I don't give it to anybody else, it is mine to own. So I can tell my story now and not. When I first started telling my story, I was shamed to death from friends and family. JoJo, you don't want to tell all your business like that. You don't want to do that. Why are you telling family? Why are you telling our family business? Not telling my family business. I'm telling my story. Now, if me telling my story puts a light on something that makes you look unfavorable, and here's the deal with my story. I tell my story from my point of view, not my family's, not anybody else's. And I try to leave everybody else out of it. However, if me leaving you out of my story illuminates you not being a part of my story, that's not my problem. And I think sometimes that's what keeps us hostage. We don't want to tell our story. And we don't want to, we hold on to the shame of whatever we're going through, because if we told our story, if we got real about what's really going on in our life, it would illuminate the people who say they were supposed to be there. It will put a light on the fact that they're really not there. And because we respect them, and because we don't want to hurt their feelings, and because we're honoring them, because it may be mama, and it may be daddy, and it may be my sister and my brother, and we don't want anybody to think any other kind of way about them, we don't tell our story, but yet we hold on to the shame of our story. So you're living in hell. You got the shame of your story, and it's holding you hostage. You have all of that, and then you got your family shaming you in it, but they ain't trying to help you out of it. So you're in hell, stuck right here all the time. You're exhausted. All of your energy is spent right there. And you wonder why it's hard to get up in the morning. You wonder why as soon as you sit down, you pass out and go to sleep. Or you sit down and you overeat. Or when you go to drink, you drinking too much. Boo. It's because all of your energy is spent everywhere else. When you have a free second of energy or time of thinking, you just want to not think. And by not thinking and not doing, it's keeping you right here. So, my sisters today, take away the shame. Tell your story. When you tell your story yourself, you take away the shame. And here's one of the things. When you tell your story for yourself, and my quote over here, strengthen my voice by speaking my truth. I ripped it the other day. Here it is. Strengthen your voice by speaking your truth. And when you start to speak your truth, and you start to strengthen your voice, and you tell your story, and that's all you can focus on. You can't worry about mom and them, sister, cousin, daddy, church. I couldn't worry about that, because when I was a hostage in my situation, I wouldn't tell my story because I didn't want church people. I didn't want to hear what they had to say. I was worried about what they had to say. The church mothers. I'm AME Zion. You got the bishops and the elder. Well, what the elder gonna say? And then I was married to a minister. Well, I don't want to mess up his career. And I am living an inside shame that nobody knows about. And then when I decide to live past crazy, I still have that inside shame of everybody else's opinion, and they're giving it to me. They're giving me their opinion. Exhausting. Tired than a mug. Depressed. You understand me? I was already depressed. What do you think that did to it? I already had postpartum. What do you think that added to it? I was already didn't have anywhere to live. Friends thankfully took me in. What do you think added to that? Is your current situation holding you hostage? And it's the shame of your life keeping you hostage, because you damned if you do and you damned if you don't. And here's my view. If I'm going to spend all of my energy holding on to shame, and I'm going to spend all my energy receiving shame, and there's nothing, no energy left for me, then I'm going to use my energy to tell my story and take the shame away. Because when I tell it, I'm not telling it because I want you to feel sorry for me. I'm not telling it because I'm ashamed of what I have or what I've been through. I'm telling the story because I'm strengthening my voice by speaking my truth. I'm telling my story because somebody's waiting to hear my voice. They will not move until I move. I'm telling my story because I need the freedom of it. I need to be free. And the more I tell my story, the freer I become, because then the shame is not associated with it. And you don't owe anybody an explanation from it. Because right now you're explaining yourself to death. Ma, I do this oh my God, Mama. I'm doing this because this, and this, and this. Oh my God, sister. I'm doing this because this, and this. Oh my God, husband. I got to do it this way. You are explaining yourself to death. All of your energy is being spent holding up your shame, holding up the thing that you are embarrassed about, holding up your crazy. All of your energy is being spent on that. Every drop of it. That's why you don't have any. My favorite word to say is, I don't have it today. I would tell my children, I was like, I don't have it today. And when I know that I don't have it today, meaning I don't have the patience or the mental capacity to handle anything else for today, I go in the bathroom and I shut the door and I take a bath. I put on my relaxing music. I take me an immediate mental health day. And I take a bath and I stay in there. Even if the water get cold, I let it out and run some more. I stay in there until I have it together. Because when all my energy is spent on everything else, whether it's shame, living in crazy, trying to make everybody else happy, if there's no energy left for me, and here's what we forget, that I had to learn the hard way, that landed me in the hospital twice in isolation, with no doctor being able to figure out anything that was wrong with me, until the last doctor said, ma'am, you're stressed out. And your body is shutting down. Because guess what? You need to take time to listen to your body. So now your body is shutting down. Kidneys, liver, everything shut down. They were giving me shots in the stomach. We had IV fluids. I didn't even eat. They was feeding me through my IV. Like, body shut down. Because all my energy was spent on either being hostage to my situation, the shame of my situation, the shame of other people. All my energy being spent on everything else except for me. And then as women and as men, right, Kimberly, but everybody doesn't have that freedom. I know I did not. I did not have that freedom. And it took me a minute to get there. But we're so busy spending our energies on everybody and everything else that we neglect ourselves. And when we have that moment of quiet or relief and silence, we don't know what to think or do first. Have you ever had some quiet time? I know I have, and I'd be like, I don't even know what to do first. I ain't got no kids. I don't even know what to do with myself, so I just sit there for the rest of the day in silence. And guess what? That's okay. Your mind needs a break. But if we're spending all of our energy on all the other things, upkeeping your crazy because you built a life around your crazy, and your current situation is holding you hostage, and you have the shame of the situation, and you got the shame of your family and friends, they putting that on you, and then you trying to live through it all, your energy is spent. And there's nothing left for you. So that's why you're crazy. And please define crazy any way you like. That's why you're stressed out. That's why your hair falls out. That's why your edges are thinning. That's why we're overweight. You know that little stomach that I got that's hanging over and I still wore my two-piece anyway. That little pooch belly, stress. That's why I eat the whole bag of salt and finger potato chips and wash it down with a Pepsi on the rocks. That's why when I go out to eat, I order extra and eat all the bread and all the pasta. All of your energy is being spent everywhere else. And your body, because it exhausted, is trying to find some kind of relief somewhere. And if it's finding it in food, that's what it's doing. If it's finding in you binge watching TV all day and eating when you get home so you don't have to think, that's what your body is doing. Your mind is trying to find some relief from your crazy, but you won't give it any. Because, if I stop the crazy is going to continue. If I don't stop the crazy is going to continue. Well, my sister, if it's going to continue whether you go or not, then wouldn't you want to spend your energy on going? Take away the shame. Tell your story. Don't be hostage to your current situation. And don't spend all your energy on your crazy. And don't allow the shame of your present nor your past to keep you hostage in your situation. A lot of us are in marriages, friendships, jobs because we are ashamed that we have stayed that long. We are ashamed that we even have that friendship. Yes, ma'am. Come on, Kimberly, with some science. Stress kills. Living witness. Almost twice. Took me out. And so for that alone, I don't receive anybody's shame. So when I tell my story, and I do speak on more than just domestic violence, but when I speak about my story on domestic violence, I will tell you in the beginning, I don't want your shame. I don't want your pity. And I don't want you to feel sorry for me. I am telling my story because there's a sister out there who needs to know that there's life past crazy. That no matter how deep the crazy is, she can get past it. Here's some steps you can take to stop it, just for a day to give you a break so you can think. But there is life past crazy. And I set those rules. And then when people meet me, if they've never met me, or people who have met me, who are my friends and haven't seen me in a long time, oh my God, JoJo, I read your book. I don't want that. And I am very protective of my mental space, my energy, my emotional space. I'm protective of all things here because I've spent enough time divvying it out to other people so that I'm way more conscious of I'm very conscious of what you're going to say to me and what I allow you to say to me. I'm very aware of that. I love words. So there are not going to be words that people are going to say to me on the slide that I'm not going to pick up on and redirect and readdress. I don't receive that, but thank you for thinking that you could give them to me, but I don't want them. You can have them back. They're your words and I don't want them. So please take them back. And it's okay to say that. And sometimes I say that with silence because I may not want to say it to the person because, growth is a real thing and my mouth may be too slick for me to say it in the right loving way. So silence is the option. So I may say, take your words back. And my silence is, I don't speak to you. And there you go. Because I don't receive your words. We have got to stop receiving the shame of our situation. Whatever it is. I don't care. And if you are a mom, and I had to be so conscious of this, mothers, we have a lot of power that we don't shame our children for the things that they choose to do. Because ultimately, this is what we all want as human beings. We all want to know that we're okay. We all want to know that the decisions we're making, that it's a safe place. It's okay that we're doing the right thing. We all want to be loved. And as a mother, it is the sly things that we say that our children hold on to the most. And it may not even be big words that you said to them, but it's how they felt and how you said it when you said it and how they received it. That we can shame our children into never living their dreams. Ever. I am always conscious, and I had to learn that the hard way. I'm always conscious of what I'm saying to my children. Especially when they come to me with a problem or a dream or a thought. Because I don't want to shame them into thinking what they think is completely wrong. And then they build their life a different way because of what I said. Like, my mama can shame me. And I'm using this for an example. And I'm not saying Safra, you did this. But your parents or your mama can shame you into thinking you've got to live your life this way. If you don't live your life this way, you're a horrible person. They can shame you into thinking, well, if you don't clean your house this way, you're not a good woman. If you don't treat your man this way, you're not a good wife. Well, JoJo, you single because you mean. Well, JoJo, you single because you know too much. You single because you use big words and maybe they can't understand it. Well, JoJo, you single because you bald-headed. Your hair fell out. But Jojo, you know you single because you gained a little weight. You know, when they ain't seen you out, Lord, child, them hips, that behind keep getting bigger. But Jojo, I declare for God, there's something with you all the time. That's why you can't keep a man. That's why you keep getting divorced. That's why you keep getting degrees. Ain't you learned enough yet? You see what I'm saying? And it is the little ways they say it that shame us into believing that we will never, ever be good enough. Ever. And you're so inundated with it as a small child that you don't know you passing along to your children. Guilty. Well, because I heard this, what we not fixing to do is I'm not fixing to raise some girls that are nasty. We not fixing to live in a nasty house. How many people have heard that from their mama? I tell it to my children. But am I shaming them because they don't operate like I operate? Am I causing them undue stress because they assume they've got to be just like me? They may get the same outcome going at it a different way, but because it's not done my way, it's wrong. Guilty. I have really went back and apologized to my girls for trying to self-impose my way of life onto them, because I don't want them to grow up to be miserable women who assume that their only way of living life is my way, when that's not true. Because I don't live my life Sophronia's way, and it took me a minute to get there. Okay? You know, cook the full meal for your kids. That's not me. And I had to learn to be okay with that. And with that, I had to learn to take the shame away of the current situation of, I'm not meant to be you. You're not meant to be me. And if I'm going to spend energy on this tug of war of who you want me to be and the shame of not being who you told me to be, I'm going to take that energy and focus on me. Period. Here's the thought for the day. And let me tell you, isn't it hard? It's hard because you want what's best for your children. And your mama, my mama, we taught us a certain way. And it worked for her. And eventually it worked out for us. So we assume it's going to work out for our children. But that may not always be the way they need to go. They may need to figure it out a totally different way than how we figured it out. Period. And we have to be okay as mothers and as women. We have to be okay with that. Here is the quote of the day. Actually, it's a passage. The charge is simple, so liberating, and yet at times terrifying. We alone have the power to open our lives. First, we must open up. Then we live openly. And then our life expands. If we feel the shame and guilt, if we are feeling the shame and guilt of our story, of our current situation, imagine what our children and our loved ones around us may be feeling, who we have an impact on. Are we passing it along to them? So, are you a hostage to your current situation? Are you allowing the shame of your current situation to keep you there? But the shame of your current situation is also stressing you out. And so you're stuck right here in the middle of crazy. And so you got to take the power back of your story, of your life. You got to take the power back from that. And so for me, that's strengthening my voice by speaking my truth. That's knowing somebody's not going to move. Somebody's waiting to hear my voice. They're not going to move until I move. That's me telling my story and not allowing anybody else to shame me of my story. Period. If you're going to spend the energy, spend it on telling your story. And be free from the shame of it. Because that's exhausting. You know what happens with stress is you think you're going to sleep. Like, it's been such a stressful day, I'm just going to go to sleep. Your mind never stops. Your brain doesn't really go to sleep. And your body doesn't really shut down to get the rest that it needs. That's why you wake up tired. Y'all know I love brain science and body science. So when you're stressed out, the back part of your brain never shuts off. This part does, like what you see that says, hey, Jojo, go here, go here. that may calm down. But back here, never shuts down. And because it's always going and it's always thinking, it reminds your body, hey, we're still thinking. So your body, your heart, your liver, your stomach, none of that rests. So when you wake up with your stomach hurting, when you wake up with your head hurting, you wake up exhausted, there it is. Your brain, your mind never went to sleep. And if you caught the show yesterday, we did some brain science. Every time you present your body, your mind with a brain, it wants with the problem, it wants to solve it. And that same thing, if you keep presenting it with the problem and saying that that's the only answer to the problem, it's going to keep giving you what you said you wanted. So if you continue to stay a hostage in your current situation, your brain is going to assume that's what you like. And so it's going to do its best to make sure that it continues to keep you there. Have you ever said, the harder I try, the worse it get? Your thoughts are real. The harder I try, the worse it gets. Don't say that. Because then your brain is like, oh, you want me to try harder to make it worse? Oh, okay. That's what you want? So that's what I'm going to give you. Because your brain likes to keep you happy and do the things that you say. Your words are power and your words are life. Please choose them wisely. Are you a hostage to you? So those are 3 questions for today. Are you a hostage to your current situation? Are you spending your energy to maintain all of your crazy? And is the shame of your life keeping you hostage? Is the shame of your past keeping you hostage? That's why you can't go forward. So those are some questions, because once you take away the power of the shame of your story, once I took the power and had it for myself, like, you can't shame me for my story anymore. You can't shame me for being divorced twice. You can't, I'll make a joke out of it. Yeah, I'm gonna have a couple of last names. Pick one. I can be any last name I want to be. Period. You're not going to have the power. You're not going to have the power to make me feel guilty and make me shamed and make me live in it and make me relive it. Some got to give, y'all. The charge is simple, so liberating and terrifying. We alone have the power to open our lives. And when you realize that, it's simply you getting up and thinking differently. You saying today, in my North Carolina talk, what we not fixing to do is shame me about this no more. Now another day. No. It is. Life happened. I'm not perfect. It is what it is. And how you move past that, you acknowledge your predicament. I had to acknowledge the predicament I was in. And then I started to move. Because you can't get the answer in crazy. And when you're a hostage to your situation, it's hard to see the answer. Because why would you see the answer when you're busy trying to keep the crazy up? So, if your friends and family do not have Facebook, do not forget we do have a YouTube channel where they can binge watch all the Fearless morning shows over there. And this is the link for the Girlfriends Retreat. It will be August 23rd through the 25th, and I really need you guys' help to sell these tickets to get people to come to the event. Amen, sister. No shame. No, we don't have time for that. At 44, I don't have time for that. That's why, if Keeper's still on here, Keeper was with me when we got on the boat in the middle of the ocean. Keeper was with me as I wore the 2-piece all day, every day. Love handles, stretch marks, and all. I was in a 2-piece. You understand me? And this is how I see it. I produced whole humans. I fed whole humans from this here body. I'm not fixing to be ashamed of that. Until you can produce a whole human yourself, I don't really care. And even in your producing of a human, your body doesn't look like mine. It doesn't matter. My body says, Jojo, you produced 2 whole humans into this world. You fed 2 whole humans. And honey, I am proud of all things of human producing. And so I wore that 2-piece every day. I think I had a 1-piece on one day, right, Keep? I think that was the day we went snorkeling. That was the only time I had on a 1-piece. All things. Period. I will not allow somebody to shame me for something that they don't understand. And y'all know what? Kiba built my confidence all the way up. I said, Kiba, how does this look? She's like, girl, you looking good. Do it, JoJo. Good morning, my sister. Kiba built my confidence all the way up. And for that, I'm thankful. You need friends like that. Because I was like, oh my God, am I really going to go out here? Kiba will come in there like, yes, JoJo, that red looks good on you. I'm like, oh, thank you, Kiba. You need friends like that. And so I'm not going to allow other people's shame keep me hostage in a situation that is not mine to be in. Because your current situation could be holding you hostage, and it's not even your situation. But because it's the shame of what everybody else is thinking, it's holding you there. No. If you're going to spend your energy, you might as well spend it on yourself. Don't allow the shame of life to keep you hostage and stop you from moving forward. Because then you'll be 60, 70, realizing you lived your whole life ashamed, held hostage of other people's thoughts, words, ideas, concepts, feelings of what they needed from you. And never once did you take into account what you needed from you. You need something from yourself. You know, right there, right before you wake up and right as you go to sleep, when you're really true with yourself, you say, JoJo, I really need a break. JoJo, I really need you to have some confidence to say, you don't accept these words anymore. Right there when you say, JoJo, I really need for you to stand up for yourself the next time they come at you sideways, because we can't keep taking this beat up. Our ego, our mental, our emotional, we can't keep taking this. So we need you. We desperately need you. Right there, that's when you take your energy, you strengthen your voice by speaking your truth. Somebody in your family is waiting for you to move, and they will not move until you move. They want to see how you are currently handling the situation of your shame that may not even be yours. They want to know how you handle it so they know how to handle it, so that they can go live free. You are the torchbearer for your family. Period. You are the lion. You may not want to be the lion, but the lion's roar has fell upon you. You are the speaker for your family. You are the action taker. You are the mover. You are the doer. You are the person who's going to set other people free so that they know that they can live past crazy. So they know they don't have to be held hostage by their current situation. And no matter the situation, the shame of it does not have to keep them hostage. Have the power. Tell your story. And even if you can't put it into words just yet, you write it down. The moment you write it down, you are immediately relieving pressure and stress off of you, because now it's just swirling up here and it's taking up all the space. That's why the answers will never come. The freedom will never come. That's why you can pray till you're blue in the face and you're never going to get a relief from Jesus. Only except for when you dancing and shouting, you know, and they spraying holy oil on you. You done fell out in the Lord. In that second, you got a relief. But when you get up, it's there to meet you. Take away the shame. Tell your story. And if you're not ready to tell your story, write it down. And some of us, like I said earlier, we don't tell our story because it will illuminate our family members and friends around us who are or are not a part of our story. And we know it will embarrass and shame them. And because we respect them and we don't want to hurt their feelings, we don't tell our story. And so we live in the shame of our story. I have went through all of that. I didn't want to tell my story because in telling my story, I didn't want people to see my family a certain way. I didn't want them to think a certain way about my family members. I didn't want them to think a certain way about the people they knew their whole life. But it was my story. And my story was just for me. And in me telling my story, if it showed that other people were not a part of my story, I couldn't focus on that. I had to focus on my path and my story. And with that, I struggled with telling my story and it illuminating people who may or may not have been there who said they were. So then, am I making them out to be a liar? Or am I making them out to be non-supportive? Or I'm making them out to be less than what people think they are? I had to go through all of that. And at the end of the day, it came down to somebody's waiting to hear my voice. They will not move until I move. I've got to strengthen my voice by speaking my truth. And I've got to live past crazy. Period. And then I dealt with everything else as it came along. And you'll learn that the more you do it, the easier it becomes. I'm not going to say it was, I ain't going to say it was easy. But holding on to yes, it will. It will relieve you of so much stress that you didn't even know you were carrying. You didn't even know your shoulders are up to here until you go get a massage and let it go. You go to the chiropractor, you know. You just don't know. Here's the passage for the quote of the day. The charge is so simple, so liberating, and yet at times so terrifying. We alone have the power to open our lives. First we open up, then we live openly, then our life expands. And y'all, as my sister's keeper, somebody's waiting for you to stop being hostage to your situation. They're waiting for you not to be ashamed of what happened so that they know it's okay for them not to be ashamed, for them to tell their story. They're waiting on you. They are desperately waiting on you. And you have no idea because you're so caught up in the shame of it yourself. But your daughter, your mama, your aunt, your brother, your next door neighbor, your co-worker, your second to the third cousin on your daddy, mama, uncle's side is waiting for you, my sister, to stop living in shame. Stop being held hostage by your current situation so that they know they can make it. They just need to see a little light that they can make it. And you are the light. You are it. So I hope this has helped somebody today. Thank you guys so much for joining the Fearless Morning Show. I truly appreciate you. And as always, these are things that I've been through, currently going through, or just came out of. And this one right here, the shame of it. Because there are different levels to your story. And so every time I tell a piece and I get to a different version, I have to go through this yet again. So it doesn't, I ain't going to say, I will say this, it gets easier. Now I can do it and I'm done in a day. Before it would take me a while. So be gentle with yourself, okay? Be gentle with yourself when you're telling your story. Be gentle with yourself when you're coming out of your situation. Be gentle with yourself with feeling the shame. And because now you're coming out of it, you're also beating yourself down. Like, why did I stay in it? Be gentle with yourself, okay? I talk to me, myself, and it's okay, JoJo. You know what? The decision was made. You survived. And I always tell my kids this. The good thing is nobody died. Now we can move on to the next thing. And when you put it in that perspective, you are able to be gentler with yourself. To say, hey, now I know I've acknowledged my situation and now I can move past it. It gets easier, I promise. All right, guys, I hope you have an amazing Thursday. Thank you so much for joining the show. Please make sure you share because sharing is caring. And if there's a topic you want me to cover, let me know. Because everything that I share are things that can help you to live past crazy. And there are things that I have went through, things that I have learned that I share so that you don't have to go through it. Because as your sister's keeper, that is my job. I don't want you to have to go through the same thing that I went through because that's not fair. That's not fair. All right, guys, make sure you share the show. I hope you have an amazing Thursday, and I will see you here bright and early tomorrow morning. Have a good one.